Let's see.
What's all this about?
Kingdom Hearts 3 was trash. Just kidding. But I do have a couple of grievances. Want to take some time out of your life that you can't have back to tell you what I think about this game. I didn't play the earlier games, but my boy Coast told me I had to try this shit because it was going to be the bee's knees, so I was like, okay, let's find out. However, learning about this game sent me down a rabbit hole that was really hard to get out of. In doing so, I ended up dissecting the whole thing, and I think the world needs to hear what I'm about to say.
I didn't ask you for your garbage opinion.
Just as a quick warning, I am going to spoil everything. If you really care about the story and waited 10 months to play it and are watching this video, you did it to yourself. Now a little bit about the combat. First off, there's a level mechanic. I think it's stupid. Every game that lets you travel to different areas needs a way to distinguish whether or not you got there too early, or how to make the combat deeper and more difficult without being unfair to you. However, in this game it serves no purpose. You can return to the other areas but for no reason at all. The story doesn't have you return to them. They could have been used for grinding items, but this game has no loot. You have the weapons that Donald and Goofy wield, and they can get better, but you just buy them from the Moogles on each level with that fat wallet you accumulate over time. You also get a new Keyblade per world, but it doesn't matter how fast or slowly you go. If you finish, here's a new Keyblade. And there isn't much to choose from. You just equip the better weapon as soon as you get it. On top of that, the reason this leveling system irks me is because I played the game on normal difficulty and was flying through the game. Then all of a sudden, near the end of the game, the menu starts smacking you around. Suddenly, after not having died in the first 20 hours of the game, I was dying 2 times a battle. Why the jump in leveling? I invite you to see if this happens for yourself. If it doesn't, I caught a bad break leveling up, but it became a bit unfair. Hits were suddenly doing 30% damage, which is a lot when there are 10 enemies hovering over you. The next part is equipment, attacks, and the battle menu. This is good and bad. I'm calling it equipment because it's not loot. You don't get drops, and one of the earliest Keyblades is objectively the best one, but I'm not here to start a war over that. Let's talk about the Keyblades first. So this is my first Kingdom Hearts game, and I will say this about it. I love all the different Keyblades. This game's combat definitely focused on the spectacle over actual depth. These aren't mutually exclusive. I think God of War is an example that has both. Kingdom Hearts is probably more aimed at kids, and God of War is also rated M, but you know 11-year-old Johnny was playing the shit out of that game too. I don't know what I expected, but here's what I got. After you land a couple of consecutive hits, you can hit the Bankai, and you get a quick little transformation, and for me, that shit never got old. Look at this shit.
Here we go. Here we go. Try this.
I also thought being able to equip 3 at a time and being able to switch by hitting left or right on the D-pad was fantastic. This is important because the actual combat is boring, but we'll get to that. There's also a lot of variety, and some of them have an additional transformation that you can activate if you keep the combo up. There's also these attraction ride things. As you're fighting, I suppose also based off consecutive hits, you can hit a button to essentially go on a ride like a carousel, the Buzz Lightyear shooty ride, and the Whitewater donut thing they have at Disney. They suck for the most part. It's a good crowd thinner since it does a lot of damage to the groups of enemies, but they're poorly implemented. First, they are too powerful because they stop whatever is happening to you and start a cutscene so you can never get caught in a combo. Second, the carousel is dependent on you paying attention to the timing of the attacks instead of watching the goddamn spectacle. Third, they aren't really what I was looking for. I wanted to avoid using them, but if you rack up the power-ups, you eventually have to use it or wait out the very forgiving timer. There are also the team attacks. Donald's attacks are a quick crowd control, and I like this because they're generally quick, do a lot of damage, and Donald is my guy. Goofy is also my guy, but only when he does the Goofy Slam. The shield bash joint is whack. I mean, it just is. Look at this. Jesus Christ. Sometimes you'll have team attacks with your Disney pals, like the Monsters Inc. bowling ball. However, this is obviously no longer a thing in the final act when you are not in the Disneyverse. The battle menu also has this link thing where you can basically become the spirit of some other Disney character. They added this because they didn't know how to fit in the Lion King and the Little Mermaid into this shit. Lion King Slam was overpowered as fuck, and the Little Mermaid was alright. I would often forget I even had this ability. This was also a cheat because after using it, your health would be full at 100%. Some other good things about the battle menu is there were more options, magic attacks were varied like water, fire, etc. They would also get upgrades like the super water attack. You could also hotkey some stuff. I hotkeyed the healing potions, obviously. Other bad things about the battle menu is there was a second and third page of a hotkey, but on a controller, is it really a hotkey anymore? I have to hold L1, then scroll, then hit triangle. Maybe if I remember the hotkey. I don't know. Now you got me looking away from the battle. I'm not mad at the inclusion, I just don't think it worked well. Also, we have had item and weapon wheels. 2 wheels. Hold L1 for the item wheel and hold R1 for the magic and weapons wheel. Have the combat slow a bit while you're in it and keep the flow going. It could have been on the triggers. I don't even think the triggers were used. Probably the selfie stick button, I don't know. Also, I mentioned you could switch keyblades with the left and right buttons on the D-pad. Fantastic, right? No. You have to be completely still for it to work, and if you were moving, it didn't work. What if I want to hit the switch mid-combo? What's the point of a hotkey switch if I can't switch the key when it's hot? The targeting system was supremely dope. I think additions to the combat that are quick and easy to get to enhance rather than detract. Check this shit out. Shit is fire. It's strange that there are so many battle options and yet the combat can get stale. I think it's the Dynasty Warriors effect. The spectacle loses its flair if it's the same group of baddies 100 times in a row. At one point I checked if I could just run past the group of enemies and move on, and to my surprise it was possible. Not all the time, but for enemies along the path to the next scene, fly over them hoes and keep going. There was also an air step thing that you could do, but this was only useful for traversal. During battle it really wasn't useful. You could air step to a pillar and spin on it like a dumbass for some damage, but why would you do that when you can summon the splash boat or whatever? A good thing I will note was that there was a lot of special fights that kept it interesting. They were often really basic and didn't have a lot of depth, but I respect it. There was a boat fight, you get chased down a mountain, roller coaster fireworks attack, fighting a tornado, air skirmish, underwater. Which actually that one was stupid since it took the majority of your powers away just so you could swim. However, I will say at one point Xehanort is sending you to different dimensions in the final fight, and one of them is underwater, and I think for part of the final battle that's an awesome touch. But not for the whole fucking level in which all your powers are taken away. Anyways, the actual combat. First things first. I noticed something while playing. I think I was floating, as if Sora's bones were hollow and if he was round you could dribble his ass like a basketball. So Sora has a 3-hit combo he always does, and it takes a minute to do that. In the late game you just can't do it at all. I jump out on my combos because I know that if I finish them, I will get wrecked. How is the design of a boss good if the break in an enemy barrage doesn't give you enough time to do your own combo back? I started watching some Kingdom Hearts 2 gameplay to see if this is how the series has always been, and to my surprise, it's not. It used to be snappy, quick, and you would drop to the ground quicker. If you want further analysis, I'm gonna name drop a guy I don't know. YouTube name is Bloody Bizkits. He has a video on the difference in floatiness, and it's well done. Give that a look. The point is, I wasn't going crazy. All the flashy attacks you can do are linked to hitting regular combos with the Keyblade, but you can't do that because the demon bitch is in your butthole before you finish the combo. But yeah, everything was fluid. If you watch Sora's movements while fighting, you'll see great care was taken in making the animations look slick. It's cool, I like it. It's just the combat leaves a lot to be desired. The last part of my video is going to talk about the crazy ass story, but before that, really quickly, let's talk about how this game wasted my fucking time. The recap bits in the main menu meant to catch you up, yeah, that shit made everything more confusing. The gummy shit? Why? Why did I have to drive a Lego block through space to get to each world? You can fight in it too. It's Space Invaders 3D or some shit. But what if I didn't buy this game for that shit? You're forced to fight a big boss in it near the end, and I wanted to return the game right then. There's nothing even in space. It's not hard to maneuver through the traps, and the highlight was actually successfully avoiding all the fights. You also get abilities in this game, and I got the double jump like 2/3 of the way into the game, and I'm mad. Hollow Knight also was slow dripping on me like this too. Olaf's body search? Waste of time. Same with the crab hunt. This game isn't long enough without a fucking scavenger hunt in it. Also, hella fucking cutscenes of this bullshit. We're in this together, I'll never let the darkness win. This person I've never met before that isn't a bad guy would never fall to the darkness because I said so. I'm sure there are more ways, but I'm done. On to the plot. Let me preface this by saying that I didn't play the previous games, so I watched various videos and confirmed with a friend who has played them if I had it straight. I'm probably still going to butcher this, but I think I need to give you the 5-minute rundown of the story so far to see why the plot for the game was utter bullshit. I'm going to go fast. Ready? Okay, here we go. A long time ago on some fairy tale foo-foo shit, there was a giant heart in the sky that said, "Let there be light." There was a master that we never hear about again, and he had 5 underling masters. The 5 masters had beef and started the Great Keyblade War. All the masters died and darkness befell the land. Also, because the children are pure and have light or some other bullshit, the light was partially restored and split into multiple worlds, thus creating the Disneyverse. The bad guy Xehanort knows what really happened during the Keyblade War and wants to use Kingdom Hearts to remake the world how he sees fit, and the way you do this is by recreating the X-Blade, which can only be done by starting another war between light and dark. Okay. Birth by sleep. Old man Xehanort takes an apprentice named Ventus who is meant to become his vessel on some pedo shit. He finds that Ventus is too weak boy for this shit and takes out what little darkness he has in his heart and creates a clone called Vanitas. I don't know why. His boy Terra wants to get his Keyblade Master license, but Xehanort unjustly fails him. This sends Terra on the path of Anakin Skywalker. Ericus, his master, finds out about the plot too late and he decides he will try to kill Ventus so Xehanort doesn't have a vessel. Noted as the shittiest way to solve this problem. But Terra defends him and Xehanort swoops in and kills the weakened Ericus. Damn. They don't like that, so they try to whoop his ass. They win, but lose, because Xehanort takes over Terra's body and becomes Terra Xehanort. Later, Terra Xehanort lost his memories from the final battle and he is found by Ansem the Wise. Ansem is just some dude and makes Terra Xehanort his apprentice. Also, I forgot why, but Aqua ends up stuck in the Land of Darkness. Terra Xehanort start regaining memories and convinces other apprentices to be about that gang shit. They form Organization 13 and banish Ansem to the Land of Darkness. Okay, so this next part is the hard to follow shit, so pay attention. Xehanort then takes the darkness out of himself and splits himself into two. A Heartless, which is born of the darkness in one's heart, and a Nobody, which is the body that remains and survives the heart being removed. The Heartless then assumes the identity of Ansem, while the Nobody assumes the identity of Zenmis. He does this to all the apprentices, and fake Ansem starts wreaking havoc on the world while trying to create an artificial Kingdom Hearts, while Zenmis leads Organization 13 to do the same thing, I think.
Huh?
Kingdom Hearts 1. Sora, Kairi, and Riku live on an island and it's all happy and shit, and then the darkness comes through. Sora gets a Keyblade because he touches Riku. They fight and then all blast off like Team Rocket. Meanwhile, Mickey fucking Mouse is a Keyblade master and the king of his world, much like in real life. He sends his boys Donald and Goofy to look for the key, metaphorically, that will probably save everyone. Donald and Goofy run into Sora and I shit you not, they see Sora holding a big ass key and they go, "It's this kid, we got him." The plot of Kingdom Hearts 1 then becomes the boys looking for Mickey fucking Mouse and Sora looking for a squad. Main baddie is Maleficent, who is being manipulated by fake Ansem, who is part Xehanort, into doing shit that's not important. Fake Ansem informs Sora that the one thing holding back his evil plot is Kairi is important, but old girl's in Sora's heart, safe and sound. Sora still waxes Riku / fake Ansem, but cannot close the final keyhole with the darkness and shit. Finds out it's because Kairi is still in his heart, so then Sora does some gangsta shit. He stabs himself to get her out, but creates a Heartless. Kairi fixes this by giving him a hug. Fake Ansem escapes, not in Riku's body, and Sora chases and waxes him again. I think he's 3-0 in the series so far. As a last-ditch effort, Fake Ansem tries to use Kingdom Hearts he created. Doesn't work cause reasons. Fake Ansem is literally obliterated by it. Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. I was going to tell you about this game, but honestly there's nothing of note that happens here. All you need to know is there's a new character named Naminé, and she has the power to rewrite memories. She rewrites Sora's memories, she feels bad about it, and then decides to fix it by making him take a nap for a year. Kingdom Hearts 358 divided by 2 days. Fun epilogue facts. When Sora stabbed himself and created the Heartless, he also created Nobodies for himself and Kairi. They are named Roxas and Naminé. Roxas is recruited by Xemnas to Organization 13. Organization 13 also recruits someone named Xion. Riku is dispatched to grab Xion and Roxas in order to complete the restoration of Sora's memories because that's what it says on the recipe on the side of the box. Riku and Xion fight. Xion finds out she's been lied to. Her origins were nefarious. Turns out Xion is a copy of Sora created by Xemnas, who was supposed to be his backup plan if his plans for Sora didn't succeed. Xion is captured by Xemnas and he reprograms her to try and absorb Roxas completely to create a perfect clone of Sora. Roxas fights Xion so she doesn't end up absorbing him and Roxas wins. Xion's body crystallizes and before she dies she asks Roxas to stop Xemnas. After dying, her memories go back to Sora. Roxas was on his way to kill Xemnas for all the lies and then gets stopped by Riku. During this time, Riku is dispatched to capture Roxas so that they can get Sora's full memories back. This was dope and a fight ensues and Riku emerges victorious. Ansem digitizes him, takes his memories of Organization 13 away, and places him into a virtual simulation of Twilight Town. Kingdom Hearts 2. They explain shit to Roxas and he merges with Sora, who then wakes up. They find that Mickey fucking Mouse is okay, and this is where they decide to set out on a mission to all the worlds in order to defeat the Heartless and ultimately Organization 13. That's it. Lazy ass story in this game. Riku and Sora fight Xemnas. They permanently retire his ass. Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. At this point, Xemnas and fake Ansem have been defeated, as well as Organization 13. However, for some reason this means that Xehanort can be revived. Not sure why the hell that can happen. They also introduce a younger version of Xehanort that can freaking time travel. At the end, we find out that Sora's ability to connect with people's hearts, for example Kairi, Ventus, and Roxas, is what will help them save others that are lost like Aqua. This is an interesting point because we will see in Kingdom Hearts 3 that they really don't want his help with Aqua. So a couple of thoughts on all of this before I go into the plot of Kingdom Hearts 3. My first impression was, wow, this was convoluted as all hell. But then I broke it down as far as I could for the script and was like, no, it's okay. The one highlight for me in the plot was when Riku had to fight Roxas, because at that moment they didn't know each other, but they both really needed to win that fight. Not to mention that Roxas is the only dual Keyblade wielder versus Riku, who has the power of Ansem in him. I think the story is mostly shit, but I like that part. Here's some other points. There was an insane amount of just because rationalizations. Why did real Ansem escape the Dark Realm and not take Aqua? Why does Naminé randomly have memory erasing powers? What was the purpose of the entire plot of fake Ansem in Kingdom Hearts 1? Why did they even want to create an artificial Kingdom Hearts? What's wrong with the original? Why does Maleficent keep coming back to life? What does she actually want? How did Mickey bag Minnie? Why can Diz just digitize people? Are there any rules at all in this universe? What are people like Vanitas doing right now? Dead or alive? Why can't Xemnas just create clones like Xion? That seems mad convenient. Just make another one, you clown. Are you trying to take over the world, or do you need dramatic tension too?
Heroes from the realm of light. I will not allow it to end.
So this game I did play, hence my video, and sweet baby Jesus, the actual Kingdom Hearts 3 story doesn't start until all the Disney worlds are done. It seems like you're just fucking around until it's time to start the game. The pacing is trash, so you end up playing in Disney World for 20 hours. Another thing to note is that you have to have played or read about every single game before this. If you missed any of them, something will happen that you will not understand. Originally I was going to walk through all the Disney worlds, but eventually I realized that was a waste of time. I'm just going to give you some fun highlights before we get to the actual story. Kingdom Hearts 3 starts with Yensid telling Sora that he failed his GMAT and thus needs to find his power awakening in order to defeat darkness. So off you go to find it. Also, Maleficent and Pete are seen looking for a box. Spoiler alert, they never find it, and Maleficent is cool with that, and they just exit the story stage left halfway through the game. Cool. In the first world, you encounter your first Organization 13 bad guy who tells you you're trash and that you can't stop them. And then he dips. So the story becomes help out with whatever's happening in that world, in this case it's Hercules and Olympus, then you leave and there's a lengthy cutscene in between traveling worlds. This is the formula that happens after every world without fail until you get to the end game. The story in actual game seems super disjointed since you play the movie in which you are in and then get a ton of exposition between worlds. Later, Kairi and Yugimoto are in the Forest of Solitude training to become Keyblade Masters, and that's what they do all game, but they give you light updates that are vague and have no information, like your teenage daughter at college. Then you end up in the Kingdom of Corona. What's wild is that this world starts with Donald wondering why they are there, and Sora says this.
Got me, Donald.
This is the best you could come up with? Shortly thereafter, they leave and talk with Mickey and Riku about picking up a body at the local Walmart to put Roxas' heart in. This is important later. There's also a cutscene about Evan, who you don't know because I just mentioned him, and he's not important at all. Then, without reason, we end up in the Monsters Inc. world, and here we have the Unversed joints, and y'all begin the Monsters Inc. 2 plot, which is the same as the first movie, but with Sora involved. Then the Heartless show up later, and I'm not trying to be racist, but I can't tell the difference between these two. They save the day and shit, and Vanitas shows up. Sora says,
This is the part where you spout some mumbo jumbo and disappear, right?
and I screamed. I was like, Sora, do you actually feel me on this bullshit? Vanitas wants to fight, and this makes me happy. I can't believe that up until this point, 55 hours deep into the story, people have just been showing up to Sora to say mean things. He does almost take Ventus from Sora, but then Sully comes through, grabs Vanitas, and yeets him through one of the doors. Then again, without explanation, I'm now in Arendelle. They see Elsa and begin their hot pursuit for no reason. The Valley Girl version of an organization member shows up again to tell you that you're a clown and mentions that they might be interested in Elsa being one of the lights they need for the war. Considering it ends up being like a hodgepodge of people like Kairi and Yugimoto and shit, like I can see why you were confused looking for cool people.
What if it's dark magic?
Elsa would never rely on the darkness.
Literally, Sora does not know Elsa at all and he says this shit. Why? I can't tell if he's simping or if he just believes in anyone that's not wearing the Akatsuki cloak. Sora is naive as fuck, but it'll all work out for him in the end because we own that Disney shit right now. At the end of the world, Brittany comes back and says that they are all set on the 13 Darkness Warriors. I have no idea why they would divulge that information, but okay. Also, they are waiting for Sora to find the rest of the Light Warriors, or they'll just take people like Elsa and Anna. What the fuck? Just take them right now. Why are you waiting on Sora? Brittany, this harem girl, and Jesse McCartney come to talk about starting a coup. They never actually do. Well, they do sort of, but it's not important.
I'm lost. What's going on?
Quick note, I never thought I would one day see a cutscene where Donald and Goofy witness a person being stabbed through the heart like Senor Bloom catches here. Dying in these games is always like off screen and stuff, and they don't bleed out, they disappear or something, but that was kind of real shit. Then finally, Sora shows up in the big Hero 6 land for no reason. I've noticed that Donald and Goofy take extra care not to let Sora tell people they are from a different world. The consequences of this are not explained, or they are and it's irrelevant. Evil Riku shows up as the token organization member. Not gonna lie to you, I forgot how this one was created. Here's Goofy and Donald explaining how he was created.
So maybe this Riku came back too, from the time when Ansem possessed him.
Yeah, from the past.
What? How?
That does it for the Disneyverse. Before I begin with part 2, I just want to say that there's very little excuse for what occurred for the past 25 hours of gameplay. You literally go somewhere, fight a bit, and leave, and are never heard from again. Why? Why not make the story be Sora explaining what the organization is to Woody and Buzz and then calling in for help later when the final fight happens? Why is it so ceremonial? Why can all the organization members just dip out? Yen Sid just pops in at the end of the game on some teleportation shit. If you can do that, why are you letting silly spiky grass fly around in a spaceship? Anyways, the game really starts now story-wise, and I almost feel like there are almost 2 separate games here. Game 1 is the Disney nostalgia train, and if that's what they just owned up to being, then it would be a 10 out of 10. Game 2 would be Sora's quest against the organization, but this game would still be like a 6 out of 10. Anywho, so Aqua is evil, and I would probably turn too if you left me someplace for 10 years. And I have to reiterate that Ansem escaped and left her there, and then came back and then still didn't get her out. Anyways, you get to control Riku, who of course is a V-neck wearing badass. You get tossed around a bit, and then Sora swoops in and hits the superhero slow-mo landing. Sora puts the paws on Aqua, and I would be remiss not to mention that there is no indication that Sora finished his training or got the power of awakening, which is in my opinion very important considering they would not shut up about it.
Was conducted in the hopes you would acquire the power to wake them.
We should go to the Realm of Darkness!
No way!
You can't go there until you get the power of waking.
I'll save her.
Huh?
You can't!
But Sora, that's gonna be super hard since you don't have the power of waking.
Sora, what about the power of waking?
You had to remind me?
Side note, the way this organization member just pulled into the lab makes me wonder why they just don't go in there and stab everyone. Also, this Lost in Sync member FedExes a vessel to the lab. This is important later on. Aqua, Sora, Goofy, and Donald head out to find Ventus. They find him and Vanitas shows up. Aqua volunteers to fight Vanitas. She's actually winning, and then she does something stupid. Vanitas is about to stab her, and then Ventus jumps straight out of Sora's heart to save her. I'm going to great lengths to mention this because Ventus tells Sora he never lost the power of waking, which is good because we fucked around for 75 hours trying to get it back, and all Sora had to do was want it. God damn it. Also, I feel some type of way about this prophecy. They needed 7 Guardians of Light. They conveniently added Yugi just in time to make the number, but Donald and Goofy are still helping. What are the rules? Why is Yen Sid not fighting? What about the lab replica bros? They can't scrap? They're literal security. Why did it seem so staged? Like instead of the battle for the universe, it was more like Super Bowl Sunday. They even all had time to themselves the night before. When Yugi talked to that one organization bro, I was like, you could totally stab him in the back right now and get a head start on tomorrow, but I digress. Then they go to the Keyblade graveyard, and I gotta say, there's no imminent danger here at the end, right? The organization needs them to fight a war so they can't kill them. They make a big show out of everyone getting kidnapped, and I know not why. And then he wakes up in the Soul Stone, but it's called the Final World. It seems you lost your body and you get it back here and you save all your friends. Everyone is back, and I'm 95% sure that that entire bit was fluff and we could have skipped it, and I'm mad. Also, what if Sora was unsuccessful here? Is it just like a big oopsie for the organization? I will say this, the music was lit while you were saving everyone. The only thing is I don't know if I can play for y'all without Disney's Legion of Lawyers coming for my ass. Now, instead of going to help, we need to fight another tornado monster of darkness. All the Keyblades in the graveyard come out and start attacking the tornado to help Sora. And while I'm into this anime type of shit, I can't help but think that we are again needlessly fighting the minions. How long before we get to fight the actual bad guys? Also, I was talking shit about Yen Sid not helping, and then he shows up to help. However, this is still bullshit because why didn't he come in the first place? Was he just hoping he would make a grand entrance? Was this for the gram? This guy's fake. Then you see Mickey fucking Mouse 1v4ing the organization when Sora shows up. I only mention this for 2 reasons. 1, because this is dope, and 2, because after you beat each one of these bozos, they all have a change of heart and have a coming to Jesus moment and regret all their actions and shit. They've been talking shit all game. Hella shit. Like some people's confidence would be shattered. And some of these reasons for regret include,
Then why help him?
I was really just along for the ride.
Hey, is that a real laugh?
Yes. My heart is remembering how to feel. I didn't forget you. Yes, I know. You wouldn't do that. But I was jealous. What?
Then we find Axel and Kairi alone fighting, and I have no idea who authorized that bullshit. Xemnas threatens to kill Axel, but it's all been going so well that it's hard to feel tension here. Let's see what happens. With that explanation, it seems Xion is alive again, and that Sora knew it was her. Just in case you forgot where we last saw Xion, she was like this, dead. Xemnas very lightly stomps on Axel's hand, and I'm sure that'll show him. Then, Roxas jumps out of Sora's heart, which makes sense since these are his buddies, but still, how is Xion alive? Also, I was thinking Roxas needed a body. Then, Xemnas asks this very thing. He explains that they had a replica ready. That still doesn't explain where the body came from. Wasn't it back at this guy's lab? Also, when they fight Bad Terra, this Oscar-winning performance occurs.
You have no power over me!
And then the final showdown happens and Kairi catches the mean slash and dies. Maybe, you know how the story is. But she definitely got slashed up and disappeared. Now they're in the last area. Scala ad Caelum. You fight at the top of the watchtower looking thing, and then I think Xehanort is going to win before Sora uses the power of friendship to defeat him. I'm not mad that's how they won, I just thought that Xehanort said this.
You thought you could contain me here, knowing all that you do about connections?
I don't know, man, I'm just following your rules, dog. They then decide to close Kingdom Hearts because it's doing bad shit, I suppose. Then Sora decides to use the power of waking to try and find Kairi's heart, which is dangerous because reasons and he might not come back. Also, during the ending montage, an organization bro gives everybody ice cream when he definitely died. Or what exactly was happening as the organization members were disintegrating. Then finally we see Kairi and Sora, except it's only Kairi, which means he saved her, but Sora's lost? What? Why? Probably Kingdom Hearts 4 is probably why. There's an after credits cutscene where the masters show up and I almost screamed, "Nobody cares about you," at the screen. Jesus Christ. Anyways, my thoughts on the story kinda go like this. As I mentioned before, there are two games here. Disney vs. Combat 2019 and then Final Fantasy Light 16. Actually, that's not even right since they took those guys out, right? Anyways, the Disneyverse part did a really great job of pulling on the nostalgia strings while also having really good presentation for the world some of us might not be familiar with. For example, I still haven't watched Tangled, but I really enjoyed playing that world. At the same time, there were simple fixes that could have alleviated the drag of the story aspect. First, why not fully explain early that the organization is looking for some types of replicas and experimenting with hearts, and that's why they all go to the Disney worlds. You, as Sora, are hot on the trail because you're not going to let them have their way. Simple. Instead, there's some bullshit about the power of waking, and it turns out you didn't need to go on that entire journey. You could have went to help Aqua, like you were supposed to, she would have taken you to Ventus, and we suddenly would have had no reason to go to Disneyland. Another thing is that I really think each world should have had an organization fight. Instead, they show up to talk shit to remind you that you're playing a Kingdom Hearts game and not just some random Disney game. Also, I feel like they didn't connect the worlds at all. It seemed like Sora went and wasted a whole bunch of time while also a lot of important shit happened in the background without him. I don't care that it didn't involve him, but you are playing him as the main character, so shouldn't the story involve you? If not, let me play as Mickey fucking Mouse in the Land of Darkness to keep things interesting. There are numerous holes to the story that could have been easily explained since this story doesn't even follow any of its own rules. Same with the second part of the story. I don't mind that they tried to wrap it all up, but then they throw in the sections like the final world and the repeated Keyblade graveyard battles, and all that could have been easily cut. I'm sure someone will tell me its importance, I just don't know what it is based on what the story gave me. In conclusion, I want to reiterate that this is just my viewpoint and it means nothing. What I also want to mention is that I actually kind of liked it. The Disney worlds were fun to be in, and I liked the final battles and how they were presented. Or I might be lying to myself because I was in too deep to quit. The music, arenas, and battles, they all engaged me. But I couldn't help it that after I thought of a really good aspect of the game that made me happy, the story would do something stupid and shit on my happiness. I just don't get it. I think the overarching Kingdom Hearts story was decent, which is what excited me about this game, but it was a gigantic letdown. I took a look at other reviews and reactions to the game and found that there was a similar feeling of letdown or playing something unfinished, and I feel bad for y'all. I didn't grow up with this game, so it's not hitting me the same, but I can still see how this is an annoying way to finish out. I just hope you all were able to appreciate where it shined and had a decent experience.
And now I have to explain all of that to him, which is in itself a crazy long story. And apparently everybody already knows everyone, and this is an insane amount to get memorized.
Sorry, Lee.